Starry-eyed rumblings.
Excelente! Then we have an accord indeed, but we do not have a lead. At this, Swordfish rummages in her pocket and pulls out a slip of paper. It reads, Ike refused. Ike is underlined, and the underlining is done in red. Now, I don't want to jump to any conclusions, but I think I know what Swordfish is suggesting here. But just to confirm, I do ask, the murderer is going after Ike next? That is my guess, Leitner. Wait a minute, was that why you were waiting outside of Ike's office the other day? Correct again, Leitner. I'm starting to put two and two together. Did you think that I was the murderer? That is highly unlikely now, Leitner. Wow, okay, was not expecting that. Do I look like a murderer? Swordfish looks me up and down before saying, Leitner, you are wearing an armored military-grade EVA suit with a mask that hides your face. Fair point, I do see. But look how fashionable the suit is. You really think an assassin is gonna be dressed this dapper? I mean, look at all the pretty colors. Murderers do tend to be quirky, Leitner. She makes a good point, and I think it's about time we get moving, and I say as much to a Swordfish. So I'm guessing we should probably start heading to Ike's office to make sure that he's not currently or about to get impaled by a murderer. She nods, and off we go. On the way to Ike's office, Swordfish does fill me in on a few more details about the case. Firstly, the piece of paper with Ike's name on it, she herself obtained from the murderer themselves, apparently. Just before I turned the corner into that corridor and the phone party began, Swordfish was hot on the trail of the murderer, and although they didn't manage to capture them, they did manage to cut a piece of the clothing, and it just so happened to be that piece of clothing was a pocket. And in the depths of this pocket was the letter. How fortuitous! And Swordfish did manage to get a glance at the murderer and describes them as a light-skinned female, about 5'4", frizzy brown hair, dressed in torn combat pants and a sleeveless jacket. Swordfish doesn't really answer when I ask her how she is certain, or seems so certain, that this is the murderer, this frizzy-haired individual is the murderer. However, at this point, I feel that I'm pretty much committed to finding this murderer with Swordfish, and I just have to keep my wits about me and my guard up, just in case there is any more betrayal. I don't want to say it, but I do feel that it is pretty obvious that there is more to be revealed from Swordfish and her involvement in all this. And I'm just bracing myself for the information and hoping it is not so bad that I have to go LAPD on her. The final bit we really discuss on our travels to Ike's office is that, based on the note found, it is most likely that Ike has refused some big shot, powerful, rich organization or person's request, and now said organization or person wants Ike out of the picture so that they can continue with their machinations. Finally, I was expecting a master plan to lure in the murderer and capture them by activating our trap. However, the plan, at least Swordfish's plan so far, is a lot simpler than I thought it would be. There are very few people on Yuma's estate. Therefore, staying close and following Ike and observing anyone that is coming to interact with him or with something of his, and intervening with speed if the interaction turns murderous. On short notice, this seems like the simplest and most practical plan, short of searching the whole of Yuma's estate and interviewing all the inhabitants, few as they may be. I'm not really pondering what Swordfish just said. I didn't hear half of it. I stopped listening somewhere in the middle of her explanation because it just occurred to me that she said that she thought that I was the murderer, and that was approximately 24 hours ago. The battle and the foam party in the corridor was less than an hour ago. Now, I am not a mathematician, but that doesn't add up. Lies, untruth, dishonesty. So why you lied to me? I keep these thoughts and this revelation to myself for the moment. Either she's lying about how she got the note, when she got the note. Maybe she's lying about why she was at Ike's office. Maybe she's lying about whether she thought I was the murderer. Either way, she was lying about something. And I'm a firm believer that lying is just don't do it. Telling lies, being untruthful, eventually at some point will mess you up. You know, there's some serious oomph behind the saying, the truth will set you free. It certainly feels better to tell the truth, and I think maybe sometimes not in the short term. You may think, I could tell a lie and it would save me a lot of work here, make things easier, but I think in the long run, it always comes to bite you in the butt cheeks. Whereas the truth may have an immediate ramification that is less than desirable. However, in the long run, I always think the truth prevails. And that is what I'm taking away from this interaction with Swordfish, that her lies and deceit only work to reinforce my commitment to truth. Although is not telling Swordfish that I suspect that she is lying, or I've sensed a discrepancy in her tale. Is withholding that information untruthful? Trying to be a decent human being is... I'm not going to say hard. I'm going to say... we're at Ike's office. At least we're on the corridor to Ike's office. I turn to Swordfish and say, we should tell Ike that we suspect that he might be the next murder victim. Swordfish responds, I did consider this, Leitner. And yes, on one hand, I do think it is wise to let Ike know that he may well be the next murder victim, so that he can prepare. Although it also runs the risk of the murderer finding out that Ike knows that they are incoming. Furthermore, we don't know how Ike will react to this information. I do indeed decide to enlighten Ike of his predicament. So to the malfunctioning panel I go!